Hi. Hi everyone. I apologize for the late night vlog video review I'm doing, and I apologize for being in this pajamas as I am. I just finished my book that I was reading. So yeah. And I apologize for the quality of my video. I am probably already told you this before, but whatever. I don't know. Probably mainly because I'm doing this at night and it's so weird. I don't know what's wrong with the camera and why it can't get a better picture. But it's like, it's nice and bright in my room actually, but I don't know why it's like kind of dark in the actual video that I'm watching. Yeah. And so it might be a little grainy. I've just been trying to fiddle with it so I can get a good picture from my view, because I can see myself recording this. Yeah, so. And it's at night, because I just said that. At night. And because I just finished the book, and I have a weird mental disability that I have to do everything right away. And I tried to lighten it up, like brighten the exposure, but it just makes everything slow down, and that's not good because you want everything to be like normal time, and hopefully everything's normal time now. Yeah. So let's get right into my review of this book. As I can't see it on my computer, you should be able to read it on your end, because right now I can't properly read it. But it's called The Story of Beautiful Girl by Rachel Simon, who is the author of Riding Bus with My Sister. And that book was made into the movie starring Rosie O'Donnell as the disabilitied person in that book. This book hasn't been made into a movie, but it probably could be. It was really good, and I'd love to watch it. I haven't seen Riding the Bus with My Sister. I've seen a clip of Rosie O'Donnell acting like a disabled person, so. I even tried borrowing it at the library, but they seem to not have it. I don't know why. So, I'm going to try and find it on YouTube. And as kind of my last resort, I will download it from the site that my cousin's girlfriend gave me, and then watch it on my computer that way. If I have to go that route, if it's not on YouTube. Yeah. I might even just read it. But let's get back to this book. So I'm just gonna read the part here that usually comes with when you have a hardcover book and it comes with a slip. So, yeah, the only reason I still have the bookmark in there is because I want to read the author notes and acknowledgments. Because like this is not a book I would keep, or like, okay, let's go, hold up. This is not a book that interests me like, oh my god, I want it so much, like my other stuff. But it interested me because it hit me on a more personal level, like a personal, emotional level, because it involves how did they word it? A school for the incurable and feeble-minded. So basically, anyone that has a mental and physical disability. And as y'all know, my sister has Down syndrome, and it's at the point where she can't look after herself. Yeah. That's why I'm home and looking after my sister. She's in bed now, so I'm doing this now. Well, I can't do this now, so I don't have to pay attention to her or worry about her. That's what it is. So let me read the little thing here. An unforgettably moving love story about the improbable odds faced by a couple with disabilities and a lost child. It is 1968. Linny, a young white woman with a developmental disability, that means like her brain wasn't completely made, something like that. So like some wires are broken, they're wired differently, that kind of thing. And Homon, that is, or Homon, which is Homan. And it has a meaning. When you read the book, you will find out why he's called Homon. It's weird, but interesting at the same time. But like, it's more weird than like, why would you name your son that? And it's an African American deaf man. So, yes, the man. A weird name. Name someone. So you'll find out if you read the book. Are locked away in the school for the incurable and feeble-minded, and have been left to languish in the institution, forgotten. Deeply in love, they escape and find refuge in the farmhouse of Martha, a retired school teacher and widow. But you guys know I can't talk properly. Well, I can, I have difficulties verbalizing words, even if I'm just reading them off the page. But the couple is not alone. Linny has just it's the weird Linny. It's kind of a weird name. You think it's like a cutesy name for like Lynn or Lynette. But I'm gonna let you find out whether it is a cutesy name. I think it's a cutesy name. Linny has just given birth to a baby girl. When the authorities catch up to them that same night, Homon escapes into the darkness and Linny is caught. Before she is forced back into the institution, she whispers 2 words to Martha. Hide her. And so begins what? Okay, I just finished this book, and I'm now realizing that it is let me just read that part. And so begins the 40-year epic journey of Linny, Homon, Martha, and baby Julia. Julia's the baby. Martha has to name her, so. I'm just realizing now it's a 40-year span. And it's a normal hardcover book you find. Whatever. I just lost my bookmark. But I know where I am. And like, as far as I know, it's at least you're basically it's kind of in a span of the child years, because she literally is just born in the first chapter. I'm not really giving any spoilers because it already tells you that she tells Martha to hide the baby, basically. So, not giving anything away. So, yeah. So, I'm just realizing this now, that at the end of the book, that Julia is in her 40s. Or is 40 years old. Lives divided by seemingly insurmountable obstacles, yet drawn together by a secret pact and extraordinary love. So yeah. Okay. I started reading this book from Wordy Nerd, when she read this book. And the only reason I started reading this was because it was about disability people. Like, mental disability people, which is what my sister is. But it also affects her physically, too. So, yeah. That's the only reason why I started reading it. And when I started reading the first chapter, I didn't like it. It wasn't really pulling me in. But by the end... Excuse me. I'm sorry. You know my nose. And I've already told you it's seemingly better. So. Seemingly. So, anyway, to the book. I didn't like it at first, but by the time I got to the end of the first chapter, and they're weird chapters. Okay, so there's 4 parts. Part 4 is like just a single chapter. I don't know why, but it is. So it's in 4 parts, which is like, and they're kind of weird titles. Like this part 1 is called The Hiding. And then this is the actual chapter heading. And it's called The Bride's Quest, The Widow, 1968. That's when it starts. Well, the year it starts. And it's just weird. Like, I even found her wording to be really weird. Like, or not really wording, just like how she worded the paragraphs, the sentences, the phrasing she used to write it. It's not what I usually like. It's just weird. And that was kind of turning me off. But by the end of it, this actually pulled me in. So that's how I finished reading it. And because I love reading back histories, and I love background and like the history of what happened to certain places. That's kind of why I love being a writer. I can do backstories, and like why I have my dragonology, vampirology, piratology, and like this book, Guide to Tolkien's World, A Bestiarity. This is only part of this whole Tolkien's guide. It's an actually huge encyclopedia. This is only part of that encyclopedia, and it's already this thick. See? It's thick. Excuse me while I put it back. Oh shit. It fell. I'll fix it after. And like, as I was reading this, I was like, fine. Just the first chapter, this is all I'm gonna give you. Is that in the 1960s, well, we're in the last 2 years of the 60s, is that this institution, the school, is like a horrible and scariest place I found out. I can't believe it. Like, I watched The Timekeeper's Daughter, which is about a doctor whose wife gives birth to twins. One boy who is normal, and the other one has Down syndrome, which they called Mongols. Mongul. I think that's what it is. And that's what they used to call them. And they either killed them right at birth, or they sent them to these institutions where they're just, everything's horrible. But apparently this institution in the book was like this huge facility on like the 12 acres? 20 acres? They tell you how big it is in the book, and it's like acres. And it's huge. They have, like, apparently they grew their own crops, and they had their own livestock, and they had dormitories, and thankfully enough, they did separate the boys from the boys from the girls, but that was still not enough for Linny to get pregnant in the institution. Apparently, that was a normal thing to happen in institutions like that. It's freaking scary. It makes me terrified for my sister. Yes, this side here, where it gets cut off by the video, is in the direction of my sister. It scares the hell out of me. And you know my brain. I've told you about. I think I have told you about my brain, or the fact that it just loves to toy with me sometimes. And it scares me because this is like real life shit. And like it's happened in the past. So, yeah. Though now, present day, today, it is better. They are more looked after now. And like everything's really careful now. But it would still happen. It's just like, I don't know if it's more rare for disability person to get raped, more rare than one of us normal people will get raped, but yeah, it terrifies me. And I told you guys, my sister is on a very extremely long waiting list to go stay at a forever sleepaway place. And I'm not telling you any more than that because it makes me start crying. That's really the only reason I continue to read. Mostly the reason I continue to read is because like I was finding out about this, like what would happen in like these institutions back in like mostly the 70s, because you start in 1968. And yeah. But eventually in history, I think 70s or 80s, sometime in there, one of those decades, these institutions got exposed on television, and they were either shut down or reduced, maybe. So like when these institutions were found out, and people who may not have had a disability person in their family or lives, but people obviously said, like, this is horrible conditions, they should not be living in this. I'm guessing even their seniors were treated better. Maybe. I have no idea, because we don't go much into that. We're just involving ourselves in the mentally and physically disabled people. So they get exposed, and meetings happened to decide whether to keep the institutions, because some people, stupid people, or people that they just didn't know what to do, they didn't know how to handle, they wanted to send their kids to a place where they would be taken care of, and they would know they were safe, technically safe, and like I don't have to worry about them. Or they just wanted to get rid of them. They just wanted them out of their lives. Like they were. What happened to Linny, basically, her parents basically called her an embarrassment to them. But she had an older sister, so her sister named Hannah, and she didn't find her an embarrassment. I sometimes find my sister as an embarrassment, but not all the time, because like I understand she has Down syndrome. She can't help herself sometimes. And so, on the other half, because like two halves of this meeting, The other half is the people who want to completely just get rid of and destroy these institutions and bring these people home to live with the family, to get them out of that place, which is bad, and make them better. And integrate them into society, basically. Whereas the other side didn't want them. They just wanted them out of society. They didn't want them there anymore. And this institution, the institution that they're talking about in here, did get destroyed and disbanded and stuff like that. And eventually it happened to all the institutions. And so, smaller organizations happen where they're called group homes, where there's a smaller amount of people in them. Yeah. And where they can either stay there, I guess, or they can live there but also be integrated into society and go on shopping trips. Linny in the book is actually on a bowling team. So, yeah. It does get better. It's a 40-year span, so the latest year was 2001. Yeah, the year was the last the second last chapter. The year was 2001. So her life got better. Her life got better. And you actually go through. You have different points of view. The three main ones are obviously Linny, Homan, but he has a different name. But I'm not going to tell you. You find that out basically in the first chapter. So, and Martha, the 70 plus year old woman. And sometimes you're integrated with someone named Kate, who is an aide to Linny while she's in the institution, and also becomes a really good friend outside of it. And then the last chapter is kind of in third person. It's no longer in the third person point of view of Linny, Homan, Martha, or Kate. So, yeah. And throughout the book, I was really involved with Linny and Martha. They were people I was rooting for to have good endings. And I can tell you that Martha dies. Because it's a 40-year span. She's already in her 70s, so I'm not really spoiling anything, because yeah, that's some 89. She would have, if she got into her, if she turned to 100, that would have been 3 decades, and you have 40 decades already. So no, not 40 decades. Whatever. 40 years. And yeah, she probably only lived for 3 of those decades. Or 3 of those years. 30 of those years. There we go. See? Getting the words from my brain out through my mouth. The difficulty. Yeah. I want to tell you how her life ended, but I want to leave that to you. But she wasn't my favorite. My favorite basically was Linny. I loved reading her parts. And at first, I was really rooting for Homan because those two just well, still meant to be together. But kind of in the middle, almost to the second half, or like part 3, I wasn't liking him. Or like, kind of like halfway, the second half of part 2, and like maybe all of part 3. I just wasn't really loving Homon anymore. But then by the end of the book, obviously, he raised up to my expectations and got me rooting for him again. And like, you see here on the spine, it has, this is a red feather. And in the book, this is not like something spoiler, this is actually fact. I'm not really, it's not really a spoiler, because I'm just basically telling you helping you understand a fact. Lenny and Homon were together sometime before they escaped, and they were holding each other, and all of a sudden a red feather came floating out of the sky, and to catch it they had to press their chests together, and then the feather landed right there, and it's a red feather. And another part of the book, we're in Martha's point of view, and they see a red cardinal, fly in and land on a branch, or fly over them. And they were talking about it. And basically, cardinals like sing. They have a certain song. Like each male cardinal has a song. When they're singing it to their mate. And if a female returns it and they come together, they are basically mated for life. So like basically if one dies, one's just like, I can't go on living. I'm gonna die with you. Well, I thought that's why I kind of love the Lenny and Homon couple together, because they caught a red feather and it was from a cardinal, and it's a really sweet thing to read, that like cardinals mate for life. They only have one mate throughout their life. Oh, this is really sweet. And this is kind of cool. This is obviously baby Julia's tower in hand. And this obviously it matches the feather on the spine, so I'm guessing that's a cardinal feather. This is a beautiful silhouette, but you can kind of see, you can't really see on the video, but in real life, if you buy it or you borrow it from the library like I did, you'll see like right here, the eye, you can see the shine on the actual eyeball. So this was like a silhouette of like an actual real person, and I think this is actually the silhouette of Lenny, or someone representing Lenny, which is so cool, because like Lenny has curly hair and she's got curly hair, but you can't tell what color it is, so maybe it's Julia, because in the book she also has curly hair. I do recommend this book for anyone who likes this kind of in-depth, like, kind of book. It's a good book, and those of you who are like me and are just like love backgrounds, love history, and love finding out like I can't think of any right now. Or like, let's go with the example of Middle Earth. Like, you want to know the history of it. You want to know how events from the past created the events in the present, and how they would create events in the future, and like the people and the creatures, the races, and in the world. And yeah. And I recommend it to those who are like reading or interested in like people with like disabilities. It doesn't go in depth. It gives you kind of like, I hate having this difficulty of speaking words. And like just you're not like give me a minute, okay? You can give me as many minutes as you want, audience, because I'm recording it. That are not really taking are in the disability community. Like you're not like an aid for someone, or you are disability. But like you have someone interest, or like you have a disability person in your family, because like we even come across people in wheelchairs and braces on their legs and crutches. It's only a small part where you come across the braces and crutches, but there's a slightly bigger part that you come across with someone in a wheelchair. And like he affects Homon's story in this book. So yeah. That's my recommendation. It took me, because I was reading it on the bus and only reading it during like when the commercials came on because I'm watching Star Trek, like Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, and some of the not commercials, credits, like the opening title scene and then the credits at the end. Sometimes you can't like skip those, so I would read this between them. And while my dad was driving me and my sister to get groceries, and like on the bus or when we go to places in the car, you read this. I usually read like a chapter before I go to bed, but this wasn't a book that piqued my interest that much for me to finish the chapter I was reading at the time. It just didn't give me enough incentive. But I'm finally finished it, so I can start on my next library book, which I will get. Which is this book, Revealed. The House of Night series presents Revealed by PC and Kristen Cast, mother and daughter. You're probably shaking your head like, why are you reading that? Why are you? But yeah, I won't give a review of this. I'm gonna give a review of like the encompassing series, because there are 12 books in this series, and this is book 11, so I only have 10. Yeah, this is book 11. I only have one book after this, so yeah. I only started reading this because my aunt gave me Betrayed, which is book 2, and as I told you, my OCD organizing in order. I'm reading the entire series. So yeah, this is the next book, and I have 3 other library books, but I'm reading them in the order of how many pages. So this one had the least amount of pages, which was 306. The book that has the most is like 400 plus, so you get the picture. And like at the library, you can have a book out for 3 weeks. So I have to renew one of the books by next week. And surprisingly, this one I probably will finish the chapter before I go to bed. It has pulled me in that much, but yeah, it's not one of my favorite series. It's just, and I have read, like, this is like a fifth-year teenage book about teenagers and stuff. And, like, I haven't read Twilight, but I've watched the movies. And it's just basically a whiner. Just whining all the time. And this is how I feel about this book series. It's just whiny teenagers. And okay, the other thing, I have been reading Pretty Little Liars series. And you'd think that would make me feel like just a bunch of whiners. But no, I don't get that way about that book. The way about this book, about Twilight, about the Hunger Games, about Divergent. Probably every single one of you is like, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know shit. And it's like, no, I don't. Of course I don't know shit. But this is just my opinion, my personal preference. You don't have to like it, but if you like it, thank you for watching. If you don't like it, please do not comment. Do not dislike it. Just don't watch the movie. Just don't watch the movie. This is not a movie. Don't watch the vlog, the video, this episode. Just seriously, if you're gotten to this point and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those are really amazing, great books. They are amazing. Fine, stop watching. But I'm not talking about that anymore, obviously. I probably will tell you again when I finish that series. It's just the way the authors wrote the books. Not everyone will like the book that people write. Like, I don't think Twilight vampires are considered are real vampires. Real vampires do not sparkle. They can't be in sunlight, no matter how overcast it is. Though it helps to be overcast. And they don't leave a whole jawline. Like they don't leave the upper and lower teeth. They leave 2 pinpricks. Yeah. Like, my version of vampire is like Anne Rice. Now, I haven't read any of her books, but that is my version of a vampire. Like, the true version of a vampire. Where, like, they can't go in sunlight. And they leave 2 pinpricks. And they actually have fangs. Like, the 2 fangs. And, True Blood. Or maybe, not True Blood, because, like, True Blood, Sookie Stackhouse TV series, novel series. They're close, but their fangs are not, like these fangs here. Like the ones that are beside your front teeth. Your fangs are these eye teeth, like your canines. They are the 3rd teeth from the center. So 1, 2, 3. These ones here. Yeah, those are vampire fangs. Those are where they should be. They make sense. And here is just like, it kind of looks stupid. But, as I say before, That's just how the author wrote it. That's how the author pictured it. That's how they wrote it. That's what they wanted. And like in this series, they can actually eat regular food. Which is not true, but it's kind of cool that they can eat food. Yeah. That's kind of the cool part. And like that they integrate like witch aspects, like the four elements, and Native American kind of like a not powers, but like they're kind of hoodoo kind of stuff. Like they use sage and lavender and like the herbs and the elements and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna keep I'm probably gonna repeat myself, but I'm keeping Betrayed only because I like that kind of four elements witchcraft, Native American kind of mumbo jumbo in it. Because I like that kind of stuff. Like Wiccan, witchcraft, that kind of stuff. But I'm not buying the entire series. Okay. I've been talking for almost 45 minutes. According to my recording number, I've been talking for 41 minutes. It's actually coming up to 42 minutes. So I think I will end this vlog review. Yeah. So I will see you all in the next video. Either another review or a vlog or a book haul. Not a book haul, but just a haul. Because like sometimes I have books that I've ordered. Sometimes I will have bags of stuff that I've bought and I show you guys. So I will see you in the next one. You make sure you read. Bye guys.